something that seems to be becoming ever more frequent is the kind of anime that becomes so popular that if you are a member of any anime community on the internet, you cannot escape it. This is because everyone and their overpriced body pillow is talking about it. Of course, this leads to several questions. Is this show worth the hype, or is it ruined by it? A similar situation happened about a year ago with the airing of a show called Sword Art Online. Everyone was watching it. It was almost a crime not to, if you are an anime fan. Turns out, though, that Sword Art Online, at least the story part of it, was, to put it lightly, kinda shit. Although I have a full video on that which you can watch elsewhere. So then the question becomes, my dear viewers, is Attack on Titan also shit? Ladies, gentlemen, and others, my name is Arcada, and welcome to Glass Reflection. Today, Shingeki no Kyojin, or, as we say in English, Attack on Titan. Let's jam. Set in an alternate universe / fantasy world, humanity has been driven to almost extinction. Beings known as Titans arrived on this planet 100 years ago, whose only purpose seems to be the act of devouring the humans of the planet, despite no known need for sleep or sustenance. They look human, except you know that they are the size of entire buildings, the vast majority of them have no intelligence to speak of, and their facial expressions are some of the most horrid things I have seen this side of Dead Leaves. That said, in this world, they are humanity's natural predator. As such, the last remaining humans are only able to find peace behind 3 impossibly high walls that not even the Titans can scale. Until an even more impossibly large colossal titan appears, busts down one of the walls, and suddenly it's a massacre. During said massacre, our main protagonist, Eren, witnesses his mother eaten, his hometown destroyed, and virtually his whole life decimated before his eyes. This motivates him and his 2 childhood friends, Armin and Mikasa, to spend the next 3 years training to help with humanity's fight against the Titans so that one day, they may be free. The entire story of Titan runs on extremely long plot lines, masterfully pieced together with perfectly timed rage-inducing cliffhangers. It's like an emotional roller coaster that only goes up, but, you know, likes to stop dead every once in a while. Because not only does every major story arc take like 8+ episodes to complete, but you can be sure that the final 30 seconds to a minute will contain some sort of hook. And that hook is some kind of plot element that changes everything. Now that change could be something as simple as a new way to battle a Titan, to something as large as a death of a character. Which, by the way, I hope you don't like getting too attached to fictional characters, because if you do, you are not gonna like this show at all. The concept of plot armor is almost non-existent in Attack on Titan. Everyone can die. Okay, well maybe not Mikasa because she's paraded around like some sort of goddess of awesome and win, but besides her, everyone else can die. And you know, most of them will. The death count in this show is so high that a committee comprised of Joss Whedon, Stephen Moffat, and George R.R. Martin would tell the writers to calm the fuck down. What it reminds me of though, it's almost like someone wanted to create a medieval version of the 1997 film Starship Troopers. But, you know, replacing the bug monsters with giant naked people.
Would you like to know more?
As the aforementioned death count is so astronomically high, I will avoid talking about anyone beyond the main 3 characters, because everyone else is basically a red shirt, and I don't want to get your hopes up in case you happen to like them before their eventual demise. Let's save the best for last and instead start with Armin. Armin serves 2 purposes. 1, to be the easily scared coward that neither of the other 2 main characters is allowed to be, and 2, to be the brains behind the operation, as Armin is the most tactical among them and is usually the one to come up with a genius plan to help everyone, most everyone survive. He reminds me a lot of young Simon from Gurren Lagann in that, while he is the most likely to break down under pressure, as the show progresses, you can see him gain in strength as he realizes that he is important to the world and not a burden on his friends and humanity as a whole. Next up is Mikasa, who, as I mentioned previously, is like a walking goddess of awesome. The fact that she is portrayed as having virtually no flaws is quite possibly a flaw in and of itself. Constantly, she is shown to be a masterful fighter matching that of humanity's elite, despite only being a trainee. She never seems to get injured beyond at most a scratch, and it's very rare that she doesn't end up killing something that threatens her or her friends. Her Achilles heel, as it were, is her almost crazy devotion to our lead character, Eren, which is of course the reason why she's fighting Titans in the first place, after trying to convince Eren that probably wasn't that good of an idea. Speaking of, lastly, there is Eren Hunter. I say Hunter because technically his last name is JAGER, and I just wanted to use this fact to somehow work in a Pacific Rim reference, since that's where I learned that Jaeger means hunter. There we go. Pacific Rim is awesome! Anyway, Eren's major defining trait for the entirety of the series is his stereotypical perseverance and totally justified hatred of Titans. Beyond this, though, he takes quite a long time to develop into anything meaningful. However, near the end, he does start to truly care about things other than, just killing Titans, as he starts to develop relationships with his teammates, and then watches them get all horribly murdered. To be honest, I'm surprised he took it as well as he did, because had this been closer to real life, I would have expected him to, freak out a whole lot more. It should be noted that Attack on Titan was produced in large part by a fairly new production studio, Studio Wit. Sure, Wit is more of a surrogate of Production IG rather than its own identity at the moment, but still, it should be safe to say that for an untested production studio, the amount of quality in this is remarkable, and the animation itself is rather distinctive. For example, every character is distinctly outlined in various thicknesses of black, separating them from the background and each other. Also, the animators for any scene involving heavy use of what the series refers to as three-dimensional maneuver gear deserve an award or something, because that shit is bananas. And also, again, what the fuck is up with the expressions on these Titans sometimes? Sure, most of the time it's creepy and all that, which makes sense, but other times? Like, we got a cute kawaii Titan, sure, why not? Well, a lot of credit for, almost everything has to go to Titan's director, Tetsuro Araki, as in the past he has proven to be a master at direction, with very little to go on as far as action is concerned, see Death Note. But he's also known for, and has proven himself, with some action series as well, which is funny to me because it means the director for this was also responsible for this. I seriously will never get over the absurdness of High School of the Dead. Seriously. The soundtrack for this show, I hate to use a word similar to perfect, but it kind of is. It has this way of making scenes feel hopeful when it needs to, followed immediately by conflict and despair. It uses some of my favorite things in music, large bombastic orchestrations, and of course, small vocal choirs, with the occasional touch of electronica, just a tad. Now, of course, some people may find the occasional English rock to be rather annoying and distracting. And granted, the rather small scale of the soundtrack with the constant reusal of a lot of its tracks may be disappointing. But I never found the English to be distracting, nor did I find there to be too little music. Like, I, for one, would prefer one good piece of music that's constantly repeated, rather than several mediocre pieces of music that are created simply for variety. Now, at the time of this video, there is no dub. However, the show has been licensed by the wonderful people over at Funimation Entertainment. And based on everything that I've ever seen from any of their dubs so far, I would be very surprised if the Attack on Titan dub turned out to be below average. And then there is the opening. You know what? I don't think I need to say anything about the first opening, beyond the fact that I became extremely depressed when they replaced it. Some may not like it as much as I did, but no, seriously, it's freaking amazing. Now, I would be one to agree that Attack on Titan, to a very large degree, deserves the hype that it gets. It is a well-written, well-choreographed, and well-animated series. However, regular followers of my reviews will know that to me, The ending is paramount. And Attack on Titan, at this stage, after 25 episodes, is incomplete. At least, not on any satisfying note. To be fair though, I am glad that they just decided to end the series the way they did, rather than trying to come up with some contrived way to tie everything together in a nice little bow. Because, you know, that's always worked out well in the past. Though, and if and when the next season of the show comes along, this problem I have? No trace. Nothing to bury, nothing to mourn. It'll be whooshed away in an instant. But until that time, I cannot in good conscience give a high recommendation for something that does not have a solid ending. So with all that in mind, I've meticulously calculated values for the categories of story, characters, animation, sound, and my own personal enjoyment, which after having it devoured by a Titan and lost to the black void where all red shirts will one day rest, leaves me awarding Attack on Titan with a final score of 8.28 out of 10 with an asterisk. I've never done this before, and this is a new thing for me. However, as I sit here, it is late at night on September 28th, 2013. And as of this time right now, there is no official announcement for another season. Now, should that announcement come to pass, be it tomorrow, be it next week, next year, the mere existence of another season, a continuation of Attack on Titan, regardless of if it's good or not, will automatically push the score of Season 1 up to 9.28 out of 10, but only with the knowledge that there is more to come. The numerical score has no bearing on my actual recommendation, however, and as such I can safely award Attack on Titan with a buy it rating, because at the very least it's entertaining enough to be worth that. At the time of this video, Attack on Titan has been licensed by Funimation Entertainment and is currently available on their website for streaming, with, I would assume, a Blu-ray and DVD release forthcoming. The show is also available on Crunchyroll's streaming service, if that works better for you as well. Links will be in the description for both. As for alternate anime recommendations, I point you towards two fantasy epics, starting with the well-liked and extremely well-written Berserk, and following that up with the monster-slaying romp that is Claymore. While neither of them involves fighting giant monsters, they both take place in fantasy settings similar to Titan, with battles against both human and supernatural beings. They both also have slightly special endings, which, given the circumstances, ties in rather well to Titan at present. And that's it from me. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, follow me on Twitter if you feel so inclined, and until next time, ladies, gentlemen, and others, stay frosty.